welcome, welcome. We're so glad you're all here. So many of you, thank you. We were thrilled by how many people were excited to join us today. If it's your first time, we're so glad that you've caught us right before the end of our Live with Atlantic series. If this is one of many times you've joined us, thanks for hanging on this virtual ride with us. I'm Claire. I'm the Director of Marketing at Atlantic. I'm going to be welcoming you, giving you a couple of tips just to get comfortable, and then I'll pop in at the very end. But mostly I'm going to let the three gents on screen lead the way today. We're going to be together for about 45 minutes to an hour. The first 45 minutes are going to be a conversation, and the last 15 minutes or so we'll take questions from all of you. So if you have questions throughout about the process, about what you're hearing, other things in John and Stephen's careers, feel free to pop those questions in the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We'll let those filter for the first 45 minutes, and then we'll select a couple to answer at the end. We do recommend that you be as close to your Wi-Fi as possible for this. Obviously, these virtual events rely heavily on the internet, so be close to your Wi-Fi box. And keep your audio levels medium. We're going to have a room to go up or down your speed bar. And other than that, we're just today and that you enjoy. And Neil, I'll let you take it from here.
Great. Yeah, and your internet started going in and out, but we got all that, Claire. We're good.
Of course it did. Of course it did.
Hi, everybody. Welcome again. It's great to have everybody here, and honored to have our guests, who I'm going to introduce in one moment. But again, thank you for being part of our Live with Atlantic virtual Fridays. It's such a strange time we're living in, because we're in live theater and we can't do live theater right now. So while we're waiting to figure out when we can go back to live theater, we're trying to stay engaged with everybody in our community. So we're just very grateful that you guys, everybody will tune in. And if you feel that we've been doing all these virtual things for free, and if you like what we've been doing and you are so inclined to make a donation of any size, we would sure appreciate it, because it's all about survival until we can play again. So I think there's a contribution button somewhere that we'll tell you about later, or we'll tell you where it is. At any rate, thank you. I'm thrilled to have these two gentlemen here, John Ortiz and Stephen Adly Guirgis. They're both have an incredible body of work. I'll just say quickly, John Ortiz has been in many, many films: Silver Linings Playbook, American Gangster, Carlito's Way, Jack Goes Boating, Fast and Furious. He's done HBO's Hope Against Hope, The Job, Blue Blood, and tons of amazing plays. Obviously, lots of Stephen's work, and in the Tropics on Broadway. We'll get into all of that. So John, welcome. Stephen Adly Guirgis, incredible playwright. We did Between Riverside and Crazy with Stephen, which won the Pulitzer. And he's done Motherfucker with the Hat, Last Days of Judas Iscariot, Our Lady of 121st Street, Jesus Hopped the A Train. He did The Get Down on TV, which is amazing. And he's an incredible actor. He's also a great director as well. And they're both part of the Labyrinth Theater. So welcome, gentlemen. It's an honor and a privilege to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's really great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So I know we're going to get into some clips of Halfway Bitches Go Straight to Heaven, the last thing that you guys worked on together at Atlantic. But before we get into that, I thought, just as a first question, because I don't think I know the answer to this, tell me about how you guys first met each other, when you first came across each other, and how you let's talk about that.
Well, it was a cold winter night in 1988.
It was.
I was 18 years old, and I think Stephen might have spotted me first. So take it away, Stephen.
Yeah, I was in college for 7.5 years as an undergrad. So otherwise I would have never met John. So John is like 3 or 4 years younger than me, right? John? Yeah. And so I went to some theater party, and outside there were like some guys, like drinking beers. And I swear, there was like this little kid. He had like an army jacket and a hat, and he was drinking a beer. And when he saw me, he tried to be like, he was like all cool, like, hey, what, you know? It was like a little kid. And it was John. But we hit it off because like we were both from the city, and we just found, like, especially in that environment, as much as it was great, you really need to find your people, you know? And so me and John and Liza Colon-Zayas, who was in the play, we were all SUNY. Glenn Fleshler, who was not in the play, but he's gone on to do a lot of stuff. And we were just a little tribe, and we stuck together, and we did the female version of The Odd Couple together.
Right.
And Liza played Oscar Madison, and we played the Cosasuela brothers. Right, I remember we actually like shoplifted our costumes. We decided in the second act it'd be cool if we had matching costumes. So we came out in like matching robes with like fuzzy slippers and hairnets. And we were so cocky. We would sit and watch the first act of the play, and we would sit up there and we'd be like, yo, they think they're laughing now. Wait till we get out there.
Yeah, just wait. And they were really enjoying the show too, and we were like, "This is nothing compared to when we get out there."
But the thing about John, for me early on, because like I said, I was in college for a long time because I was fucked up. But besides the fact that we were from New York and we loved the Knicks and this and that, you know, I could tell he was really talented right from the beginning. I saw him do an exercise where he played like an old man, and he did it so well. And more than, and along with that, he had so much confidence. I didn't have a lot of confidence. I didn't even know what I was doing, you know? And he was just so confident. He's like, we're gonna fucking leave here, and we're gonna do movies, and we're gonna do plays, and we're gonna do shit, and we're gonna be in the trailer, and we're gonna hang out, and we're gonna go sit in the front row with the Knicks. And he believed this shit like so much that he really made me believe, you know? And so that's part of the reason that John's always met, and that spirit has never left him.
That's amazing. And John, you remember, you got the same memory of when you first saw?
Pretty much, like a lot of what Stephen saw in me, I might have had, like, but I wasn't like, I just didn't know any better. You know what I mean? And like, actually, the first 2.5 years, I wasn't thinking. I left after my third year to become an actor. But the first 2.5 years, I didn't think I was going to be an actor. I was on my way to possibly being a teacher. And it was a happy accident that I got cast in a professional show. And that's when I really kind of paid special attention to the theater company and the other students like Stephen who were a part of the program. So a lot of that was just like really new in me, you know. It was just like a real kind of, I was just coming into my own, and I think it was an extension of being a late bloomer, you know, of being introduced to things that I wasn't introduced to growing up in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn in the 70s and 80s. And I really embraced it, you know, like I wanted it, you know what I mean? And it seemed like all these things were opening up, including theater, by a happy accident. So, and like Stephen said, friendships, you know, and people who I never thought existed, you know, and who were from New York, you know, but like they were always like somewhere else, because where I grew up, it was really isolated, you know, so like anything out of the neighborhood was like far, you know. So like meeting someone from the Upper West Side and from Manhattan, and who was like really cool and smart and also shared certain things with me and was like a little older, I was like, wow, this is like kind of like the big brother that that I never had, that I always wanted, you know.
We both I think had a lot of false bravado, like, you know, fake it till you make it. But that was a thing that we bonded at. Just everything was like, you know, you needed that. You know, we needed.
Well, that's totally gone away. You guys no longer have any of that false bravado now.
Not at all. No.
Yeah. Well, that's like there was a lot of that was alive when we talked about doing this play. You know, I'm sure you probably want to get to it like a little later, but you know, it was about let's like do a new play of yours and make it, you know, as big as you want. And we tried the first things before you came to our
Collaborative rescue.
Rescue, exactly. Yeah.
You know, John, since you're starting to make the segue,
Yeah.
What I will say one other thing, and then let's set up the clip, because that'll be a good way of starting to talk about the play. But the one thing I wanted to say, which is kind of incredible, is the fact that you guys met so early and your friendship and your loyalty. That I just want remarking on that now, because later on when we talk about the Labyrinth and how committed you guys have been is incredible. So let's set up. We're going to see a clip from Halfway Bitches Go Straight to Heaven. You want to set this up, John, what we're about to see?
Oh yeah, this is I believe this is the second scene of the second act. And what's been set up in the scene before this is the disappearance of a resident at the shelter. And so there's a lot of tension in the air, like no one knows exactly what happened. And it takes place in a meeting, in one of the workshop meetings that happen throughout the week at the shelter. And I think it opens up with Rockaway Rosie, played by Liz Canavan, trying to help out Sarge, who is deeply affected by this character missing. And also what happens and that's interrupted by Munchies, who's been blindsided and her heart's just been broken, like right before this scene happens, and is a bit of a germaphobe, taking out her feelings on the janitor. And Munchies is played by Pernell Walker, Victor Almazan, and he has to hold back and practice a lot of self-restraint as this onslaught is coming at him.
It's also sort of about how sometimes we can be real, like she just got her heart broken, like she was having an affair with a staff member and he broke up with her. And so how like we can be upset or and then we end up like, just completely taking it out on someone else in like a completely outrageous way. I mean, she's a germaphobe, but she's really just looking for a chance to unload on somebody.
Great.
Like the first person, yeah.
Great. Then let's, if you guys are ready, we'll turn off our videos and we'll run it.
I wanted to share. I had a fiance once. My fiance, I had a fiance, Sarge. Slim hips, bedroom eyes, smooth talker, smirky dimples. Oh, he looked just like Mickey Rourke. Ooh. Well, the younger, more normalish Mickey. Poor Irish trash, but redeemable, rascally. Oh, he had me over the moon. He took me to the movies, and he had me. No one ever made me feel special before, but he made me feel, I can't even say. And in the movie theater, when he touched my breast, my eyes went cross-eyed. I couldn't even see the screen.
That ain't how you do it. Miss, look at that bald-headed, no-count job for a Special Olympic, retardo multiple thug-ass nigga over there. He thinking he mopping shit, he just moving dirt around.
The night he proposed, I gave myself to him, all the way. With his slim hips and smooth talk and tousled hair. And afterwards, you could have melted me like butter. And then he got dressed and told me he was going down the corner for a pack of smokes and a couple of hot cross buns. It was close to Easter, but still Lent.
Hey, Mr. Potato Head! You just stirring up germs and bacteria and filthy spores in the air. That ain't mopping, that ain't how you fucking do it.
Munchies, please!
Please what? You try fucking Ebola behind this cloud head cloud spread of infectious organisms
too, Sarge. Obviously, you've had a lot on your mind, and I harbor no ill will, okay? No hard feelings? Okay. Yeah, okay, Betty. And, Rosie, I feel little.
Me too.
Me too. He was a bum. I have a thing for bums. You know when you feel that way about someone, Sarge? I mean, the sun rose and set on that man. And for a few months, I was walking 3 feet off the ground. I was in love. And soda pop tasted like champagne. And it was effortless to be nice. And I was so alive, I would shiver with joy and well-being, even in 98-degree humidity. And I just hope, Sarge, that you know who. Because there is nothing worse than a broken heart, Sarge. It's 30 years later, and you could still stick a fork in me. And I don't want that for you.
Munchies? Munchies, I don't think that's a good...
First of all, you don't supposed to mop up and down. You gotta do it side to side.
I know that.
What are you doing wrong for? And you gotta clean the water, bitch.
Don't call me
I'll
that.
tell you what the fuck I want, bitch ass boy-headed bitch. You ain't no real janitor. And you don't know the first thing about sanitationalism. You a minimum wage, rent a retard, jailhouse bottom bitch.
Don't say that.
Oh, what?
You don't say that. I don't want you to take note of that.
You take whatever the fuck I dish out. Damn. Is that your breath? Damn, you got filth in your mouth? Crass, nigga. Crass. Yo, how he allowed to work here with this hazardous waste breath and just mopping like, what, you got something to say to me?
This ain't right. You ain't right.
I'll go me one more time, I make a potato head nigga blind.
Sarge, can you help here, please?
Why?
I'm on parole, and you ain't right.
Munchies, you need to leave!
Oh, I most definitely need to leave. But just remember this, you Mayberry bitch. I'm a baby back bouncing, juicy prime rib, full-grown delicious sister queen, okay? And X-rated. And once a man had all that, and he did, then you two can go to all of the museums you want, drink tea, adopt a puppy, get married by the Queen of England. It don't matter. Because he'll never have any actual lust in his loins for a mild honey barbecue Arby's chicken wing like you.
Right. Excellent. Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. So great. Fantastic. Let's talk about the genesis of this play. Stephen, you want to talk about how it sort of came about, working on Halfway Bitches and where it came from?
Yeah, sure. You know, we have a summer intensive at Labyrinth. We go away and do new work. And I was working on something, but then I had like an hour left before presentation. And I was just thinking someone should write something for women because there was so many strong women in our company. And a lot of times I write plays that have women, but sort of like the alpha dog characters tend to be male. So I was like, you know, what if I wrote a play where like the alpha dogs were female? So I started writing some variation on the opening scene in the play, and then I forgot about it. And then Lab was having some troubles and some stuff fell through, and John called me and he was like, you know, can you write a play for us? Like in a couple months. And it was not a good time for me to be writing at all, but you know, I love John so much and I never say no to John. I never say no to Lab. And so I said, yeah. And they said, who do you want to direct? And I said, you. I said, John, you gonna direct? And he said, well, I never directed before. I was like, so? And he said, well, I'm sure you could find a lot more better, more experienced directors than me. And I was like, well, that might be true, but if I have to do this shit, then you're gonna do this shit with me. And if this is, you know, if this is the end of Lab, let's go out guns a-blazing. And if this is an opportunity to put Lab back on the map, let's do it guns a-blazing. And so we did, and originally it was gonna be a workshop, so I cast a lot of less experienced actors, you know, and then once it became, you know, with you, with a much bigger budget and, you know, our return to the Atlantic, there was a lot of more pressure, but we both made decisions like, let's stick with our people, let's put our best foot forward, and let's add a GOAT to the cast, and that's what we did. I actually added the GOAT kind of out of resentment, because I think I said the cast was like 15 or 16, and then you're like, is there any way you can get it down? I'm like, yeah, but also there's gonna be a GOAT. And I remember I got off the phone, I was like, now I gotta think up a reason to have a GOAT. Even though I was very grateful to you guys, but there was some other shit that I had observed that made me think about the GOAT. And that's how
the number kept going up though. I think
though, right? I said yes. We'll do 18 people and a GOAT.
That's
you
right.
said yes to everything. You were amazing that way. It was like
you didn't even know you said yes to everybody.
There was no.
Yeah, John, talk about, because obviously it was an amazing process. And I just think also it's incredible, Stephen, what you're saying, your commitment to the lab, your commitment to this amazing group of actors and writing it for the group of female actors, all of whom are amazing. So John, you want to talk about that? And obviously you've been privy to that, Stephen's process as an actor, but this was your first time as a director. You talk about the genesis too, of how that.
Yeah, well, I've always felt like I wanted to direct. And in fact, I had offers to direct before. It just never felt right, you know, and I always imagined not necessarily a Stephen Adly Guirgis play, but the thing happening in the way that Stephen approached me, you know, like a little more organic and something that I was like a part of from the very beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was something that I always wanted to do in the future. And so what's great about the way he asked me was that that's like a big part of lab. You know, we actually challenge each other to do things that we aren't known to do. And that's not necessarily in our wheelhouse, you know? So
and is that that's also, how, sorry to interrupt you, John. Is that also how, Stephen, you started writing? Did somebody challenge you from the lab to say write something?
Yeah, it was somebody who's drinking out of a pink cup right now.
Yeah. And lots of writers, you know, Liza Colonzes, who, you know, wrote something really early on based on, you know, during a workshop. Stephen saw it and encouraged and challenged her to write more, and he directed the piece, and it was an amazing one-woman piece, Sister Supreme.
Paul Calderon was the first one that encouraged us. I remember she read like a one-page, it was almost like a diary entry in the first person. And I remember Paul, and at the time, like, Paul was like, we all really looked up to Paul, you know? And he encouraged her. And then because me and Liza were friends, I was like, well, I'll work on it with you. I didn't do any writing, and I was a point, I don't want to do any writing, but I'm going to do everything I can to facilitate her writing.
Yeah. But that thing was also kind of like another little happy accident that happened with us early on, in which we, you know, wanted at some point to, you know, really early on to just work, you know, to be the best versions of not only ourselves, but collectively be as tight as possible so that we can go on and do everything and anything. And most of us were actors. So whenever we couldn't find guests to come in to fill in the gaps of whatever needed to be filled in, whether it was a workshop or something, we turned to each other to do it. So we were like, yo, just write something or direct this, you know what I mean? So like that, like through like, you know, the practice of doing that and deepening that and realizing the importance of that, when, you know, cut to 25 years later, Stephen asking me that, it was more like, not only would I like to, but it was already like in my bones to be like, yeah, let's jump in and let's do it, you know, all in service of something from early on was much bigger than any one person.
And John, just for context for those who are of our listeners and viewers who don't know, you guys founded the lab together. When did that happen?
No, not me. I came in the second year.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the summer of '92. when the idea first happened. And we had our first meeting in September of '92. And it was quickly, it was in the middle of the protests happening that were sparked by the casting controversy of a play that was having its US premiere on Broadway. And it was set in South America. And there were no Latinx actors in it. Like maybe an understudy was cast. So there was a real outcry about that. And I'll never forget reading an article, and it was covering the protests, and one of the producers was asked in the middle of the protest. He might have even been like walking by it to go into the rehearsal room, and he was asked, why aren't there any Latinx actors? And his response was something to the effect of, well, we've searched all over the place. We just don't know where they're at. And at that moment, I turned to Gary Perez, who was a dear friend, an actor, and became a co-founder, and said, let's create a place and a space where they know where we're at. Great. And so we just put an ad in backstage that seemed like it cost thousands of dollars, but it was probably like, 60 something bucks, and put out a call for young Latinx actors, and we were expecting 10 or 12, and I swear probably like over 100 easily showed up, and we selected 10. We asked Paul Calderon to join us, and we just wanted to set up a space where we can be we can just work, and we can become better, and we can. Well, and
with the work that you've done over the years has been incredible. And since we're there, and then so Stephen, you came in the second year, and did you come in as an actor and a writer?
No, I wasn't a writer. I was living in New Mexico when John founded the company, and he sent me some postcards that said, "Oh, I started this company, blah blah blah." And when I came home, he's like, "You got to be in the company." And I was like, yeah, I'd love to be. He's like, the only thing is you got to audition. I was like, yeah, I'll audition. He's like, yeah, but the other thing is like, you got to be like really, really good because it's an all Latino company. So I auditioned with Liza. I think they had me go back like 3 or 4 times. And then it was a 5-person committee. And then they voted not against me. It was 3-2 against me. And apparently John stood up and just told the others, yo, trust me, we have to let Stephen in. It's gonna pay a dividend somehow. So I just came in as an actor. And then because me and John went to college together, I wrote a paper for him once and he gave me a pair of sneakers for. So I think, and also we took a playwriting class together. So I think he thought that there was some potential there. And so we did Evening of One Acts and I wrote one of them. And I guess it went well because then everybody just ganged up on me to keep writing, and that's pretty much how it's been almost up until now.
Yeah, well, it's amazing, and not only your relationship, but the relationship of all the incredible company members and all the amazing actors that have come out of Labyrinth, and the body of work that, as I've said to you guys before, as another fledgling theater company, I mean, we would look to the work you guys were doing. When I first saw Jesus Hop the A Train, it just blew me away. Because I know we're tight on time, I want to set up this next clip, and then we'll talk some more. What we're gonna, Stephen, you want to talk about what this next clip we're gonna see?
Yeah, sure. Okay, this next clip is actually the last scene of the play. So I guess what I would say is like, because we hope that we're gonna do it again somehow, somewhere, somewhere. Like if you haven't seen the play and you don't want to know how the play ends, then don't watch the clip. Like go get a snack or do something because it's the end of the play. If you have seen the play, then you can watch it again. And if you haven't seen it, but you're like, yeah, I still want to see it. Basically what we see at the end of the play is the place, for various reasons, to shut down operations. And then what we see is a character who throughout the whole play was so strong and so alpha and so like, you know, just unwavering in their will. And then we see when everything's been taken away. And that's it.
Great. So whenever you're ready, let's play it. Let's do it.
Sarge, just came back to get my stuff. Now I'm just waiting on the peoples. Good. Staying at my niece's in Jersey. Got a backyard. Nice. A swimming pool too. And air hockey. Okay. The wound healing up? Yep. Sorry if I caused trouble. Okay then. Thanks for everything, Liz. Everybody know you've done your best. Thanks. Need help with unboxing? I'm okay. I can carry it for you to like the subway or whatever. I'm good. Stay well, Sarge. I'm trying this. Still. Ain't no way to treat it better, you know, right? Not you, Miss. I mean, people. I served my country, right? Yes, you did. I ain't saying I'm special. No, I know what you're saying. Yeah. I ain't see my kid in 5 years. I'm sorry. I'm so crazy. Violent. My own daughter, can you believe that shit? You have her number? I can call her. No. I mean, only the strong survive, right? You're a survivor, Sarge. Yeah. I survived. Okay. Okay. Miss Rivera? Yes. Take me with you. Sarge. Take me with you. I ain't got nobody. And I think I'm not okay. I'm not okay, am I? Right? Right? Right, I'm not okay. I can take you to the VA. What's the VA gonna do? I ain't right. I ain't okay, and I'm way past the fucking VA. I can't take you with me, Sarge, but I can... Just tell me I'm not okay. Because I'm not okay, right? Just tell me the truth. I am not okay. You're not. And I probably won't never be, right? Maybe not. And I need help, right? Like a lot of help, right? Right. And people are afraid of me? Yes. A danger to myself and others, like how they say. You are, yes. And who gives a fuck about me? Nobody. Sarge, just tell me this, Rivera, please. Just tell me the truth. I got no place to go and nobody gives a fuck about me. I wish I could help. I tried to have this conversation with you how many times? I know, but I wouldn't listen. No. I know. I remember. And you can't help me no more. Right? Sarge, please, miss, just tell me. Because my head's just about split in two and bleeding from both sides. Okay? Nobody gives a fuck, Sarge. Not really. And I can't help you no more. I can't. Not no more. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you. Space and change.
Wow. It's, and two amazing actors. I guess in seeing the scene again, that line in the context of the past 3-4 months, that scene keeps resonating with me. This nobody gives a fuck, but also this just dignity and the work that you both did, amazing. So we'll talk about that. You want to talk about that, the scene and how that resonates for you now, right now, like this summer, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you said, and like even before the summer when we first got together, you know, one thing that I was really struck by was not only the size of the cast, but who made up the cast. And, you know, you had 18 actors and it wasn't a stunt, you know, even though that's what people were like, wow, you know, but what made it so effective is that you got these characters, of which, you know, I believe 13 are women and 9 are women of color. And they are front and center. They're not on the sidelines. And they're presented wholly, you know, WH, like you get the full, you know, it's their lives. And it's not supporting it or background in any way. It really is their lives. And as I was watching this, I was just struck with how the struggle is more important than the outcome a lot of times. And audiences were with them and they cared for them because of that. And so they cared more, I think, or I cared more about not necessarily what happens to them, but how they react to what's happening to them. And that's what's so powerful to me in that scene.
Yeah. Yeah. And Stephen, you want to talk about, I don't know how it's.
I mean, you know, it's a big play and it wasn't a short play. And I don't know, I hate when playwrights are like moved by their own work or laugh at their own jokes in the theater. Like, it's like a pet peeve, but it just kind of flowed out of me, and I was moved when I wrote it. I was moved when I saw it. I was moved just now. And just in terms of the craft of it, what I remember thinking, because all the characters, part of the gift of mostly all these characters is that they're all real intelligent. Like, you know, Sarge's super intelligent and they're super verbal, even verbose. You know, they use language as a weapon. They use language as a tool. And so in the last scene, I remember what I was conscious of was I wanted to strip away as much of the language as possible and just try to connect with the essence. And, you know, it's imperfect. It's always going to be imperfect. But I feel like the essence of what I was feeling, what I was trying to say, is in that scene. And in terms of now, it was like, yeah, I mean, it was true pre-COVID. It's true now in the midst of this, in the midst of all the social upheaval. And, you know, there's a guy on the New York Mets, there's a young player, Dominic Smith, who just kind of made national news for kneeling before the Mets game the other day and leading them to cancel the game. And he did an interview and he started weeping. And he said, the thing is that what hurts is that after all this is going on, still it's like people don't care. They don't care. And that was how he's feeling. And I think that even all of us who care, and we do care, you know, but there's limits, you know, there's limits. We can't care 24/7 or we'll just fucking go crazy. And there's always that certain point I have certain people on the street that I see every day, and I give them something, and I have a little conversation, blah, blah, blah. But I know, like, at 3 a.m, they're alone, and they got no place to go, you know? And that is very true about our reality, but it's also true about people that have an apartment and a place that you can feel that. So I was hoping to get at something that was specific to the situation and specific to Sarge's reality, but that was hopefully could be identified even unconsciously as being universal.
Yeah. Well, I think it is. And I got to say to both of you, I mean, so many of the plays that you guys have done together, I feel have that impact. And I also want to say that watching those, you know, watching Elizabeth Rodriguez and Liza Colón-Zayas, that, you know, and that you write for your friends, these remarkable actors, it's sort of all of a piece. There's something remarkable. It was an honor to, you know, witness it and help work on it. So,
I mean, I wrote the part for Liza, but Elizabeth, I didn't write it for. It was hopefully going to be for Portia in our company, and then she was on Broadway, and then someone else who's amazing, and something happened with her, and Elizabeth kind of came on in the last minute, and she really made it her own, and that role I think was a departure for her, which I give her so much respect for excelling at, and I also feel good that John and I were able to do a piece of theater that allowed her to do something that she doesn't usually get to do, which is to be more staccato and restrained and not be the fucking blah, 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 blah.
Firecracker.
Yeah, and she did great.
Yeah, and she worked hard and was aware, like that's what like kind of what we were talking about before with doing things that we don't normally get a chance to do. You know, it's like opportunity, you know, is a huge part of our mission, you know. So like it's more yes from me than no, if there's a desire and a willingness to do it. And like she was really interested in wanting to do something that she hasn't had the opportunity to do before. And luckily that role became available, and she stepped in. But and I just quickly want to say everyone in that cast was just so not only amazingly talented, but they were just so down to do whatever it takes to put the show up and to go through really hard stuff, like really hard examinations. I mean, we talked a lot about really hard issues, you know, and from racism to misogyny to mental illness, all kinds of disparities, and the dangers of just being on the street, you know, the danger of like not knowing where you're going, the danger of being at the mercy of institutions that for the most part don't give a shit about you, you know, and just want you out as efficiently as possible, you know. So you finally have a bed to sleep on, and like, you know, the checkout date is like ticking, you know, and it's all about, you know, that vulnerability of like, okay, what do I have to do to get out, and the bureaucracy of needing to do all that. But then even when you have it all, what does it mean to like, okay, now can I function as a productive person? You know, is my well-being intact when I've gone through trauma my whole life? You know, and also the younger people there, and the whole foster care system in this country and how messed up that is. You know, there was just so much at play, and everyone in the cast, they were just like open hearts, open minds, and all in.
And I would just throw in, sorry to interrupt, John, I want to throw in, because you were heading all of it up, and you did such a remarkable job at just, you know, shepherding all of it, and having patience and seeing the possibility in all of it. So I just think you did an amazing job with that. Because there's a bunch of questions, I want to open it up.
Hey, Neil, can I just say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Again, about the process is like, it's true that, probably half the roles were written specifically for the actors, but just because you've had a role written for you doesn't necessarily make it easier. And oftentimes it makes it harder, And so it's like, I write a role for someone in mind and John is on board and they were like, yeah, I see where you're going and I know that this actor can do this. But it doesn't mean that the actor necessarily, they still have to find it.
Yep.
And so like, like Liza, her performance, it didn't come easy. It didn't come natural. Like she really had to like transcend herself, to deliver it. And that's kind of what we try to do. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we fail. Is to put each other in positions where we actually have to transcend ourselves.
Incredible. No,
and we do it by doing it, together.
It's amazing, and it resonates. It's incredible.
I think it's so relevant now too to what's happening. I really hope, like, if there's anybody out there who hasn't seen it, who has the power to help us move this show and have more people see it, believe me, there's a huge demand, and we all want to do it again.
Yeah.
So that's my little plea.
Awesome. Well, on that note, let's open it up to some questions. If we have some questions, Annie, are you there?
Yeah. John, that's the perfect segue because we, first of all, have more questions than we've ever had. And a lot of the questions are asking for this play to go to London, go all over the world. And they also, many of the audience would like you guys to make a film of it. So you have a lot of requests there too.
There you go. Yeah, I'm like Stephen and I spoke yesterday. There have been some little talks, and we all know how hard it is, especially now, with not only the economy but the pandemic. But and maybe this is a little bit of the confidence and the thing that Stephen was alluding to much earlier. But I think this play needs, this story, this play, this production needs more of a life. I have a hard time accepting the answer of the cast is too large when there are plenty of imports from Ireland and England with over 20 actors on the Broadway stage. This is a New York American story. And it's people of color, and it's women, and it's heart, and it's what's happening now. And it would break my heart that to see this play not given that chance to have more of a life in the American theater.
Totally.
Yeah.
Stephen, this question is for you. A changing New York appears in many of your plays. What about this theme resonates with you so deeply?
Yeah, I mean, it's unconscious. I'm not trying to write plays about like New York's changing and it's fucked up, but I'm a New Yorker. I was born here, lived here my whole life, and New York is a really special place. And if you like look into the history of it, I remember watching the Ken Burns documentary about New York. And then I watched it again while I was watching this play. And it was talking about how like the whole idea of New York, what it evolved into was a really kind of a radical idea. And it's really actually found on like radical liberalism, that the idea was like, okay, it was like a contract with immigrants that said, you're gonna come here and you're gonna do labor and it's gonna be hard and you're gonna live in tenements. But, we're going to have free education, and not just free education, grammar and high school. The Cooney's schools used to all be free, and that we're going to create a scenario where you're going to help build our city and we're going to help build the legacy and your families, and that we're going to advance. And now liberalism is like such a, it's seen as like a dirty word or like it's like a crazy radical thing, but that's what New York was founded on, and that people who didn't fit in, like as time went by anywhere else, would come to New York. So, New York, it's special. It means a lot to me, and it's worth fighting for, And I'll say the situation that was going on the Upper West Side was shelters that kind of inspired the play. There's a shelter around the corner from me. It's now there's more shelters, and there's like a Upper West Side groups that are like bitterly protesting the shelters and taking photos, and like fucking New York Post has these articles with like, you know, homeless guy in front of Dwayne Reed, and all these people are freaking out. And it's just like, also, this is another social contract in my mind. It's like, if you live in New York, you might live next to a fucking homeless person. And if you don't like it, there's 49 other states, and there's Long Island, and there's New Jersey, and there's Connecticut. Like, you don't have to be here. It's okay to come in and just see a show and have dinner and see the Statue of Liberty. But if you're gonna live here, it's part of you're gonna be part of a tribe that's gonna be different from you. And that has to be embraced. And I try to celebrate that when I'm writing stuff that's New York-ish.
And it's happening all over the country, like especially now with, you know, people not having jobs and can't pay their rent, you know, and their mortgage, you know, like the homeless numbers are just skyrocketing, and you can't hide from it anymore. You can't say, okay, it's now isolated under a bridge somewhere. No, it's like on the sidewalks everywhere, you know. And
in Indiana at our intensive, which is like, you know, Indiana college town, like picturesque, and the people from the shelter came to see it. You remember Jesse and them came to see it?
Oh yeah.
And I was so nervous because it was like, this is what they do for a living, and they're like, yeah, no, it's exactly like that. It's exactly what you're writing, and it's here also, you know. So, you know,
Yeah,
that was a sad but also a gentle encouragement to keep going, which we did.
wow.
Great. So to both of you, what's the best way for artists to get involved with the Labyrinth? What would be your recommendations for young artists who are just starting out once things start opening up again?
Well, we have a great education department that's modeled after the summer intensive, which is at its core all about lab and our principles and ways of working, and it's taught by our members, and it's free. And it happens every summer. So if you can sign up for that, that's a great way to be introduced. Come around, see our readings. Now that it's virtual, and I think most of this upcoming season, which I think it's our 28th season or 29th season, will be virtual. Like log on, become familiar with our work, stay around for chats and stuff. And hopefully when we're back in person doing our thing, you can be there in person and hang out afterwards and volunteer. And a lot of our members, actually our next artistic director started off as a volunteer, and now he's the artistic director of the company, Aaron Weiner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would also,
but please do, the doors are always open. That's something that we've have always stressed, you know, that as much as of an importance we've put on self-generating work, we've kept the doors open so that we have this energy constantly flowing through of new blood and young people.
Yeah, I agree with that, and that the doors are open, but also at the same time, I remember when Lab first started, like the big company in New York was Circle Rep. And everyone was like, Circle Rep, I want to be part of Circle Rep, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and we ended up just starting our own company, you know? And so, yeah, of course, come around Lab. I mean, please do. And we do need you as much as you need us. But there's another thing too, which is what I said to your students, Neil, or your wife students and stuff. It's like you can try to get into a company, and you should, but also start your own shit, you know? Do your own shit. Don't wait for an opportunity to, you know, scrub a fucking toilet somewhere or hand out flyers at a reading. Do that, but like find your tribe and start your own thing as well.
It's such an important point, and it's one of the reasons we know each other, that there was a bunch of us starting companies. Atlantic started in the 80s, you guys started in the early 90s, and so many other companies, MCC, even New York Theater Workshop, all these places. So yeah, create your own work. We got time for one more.
This is an intense, if you guys are game to take one more, this is a deep one, Stephen, if you'd be game. Does writing these honest, brutal, incredible characters take a toll on you in the process of creating this amazing work?
No, not one. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I mean, I was just teaching intensive ensemble students, and I think anything that you do in the arts, whether it's acting or writing or directing, you know, if it's going to be good, if your intent is to really move, attempt to move people, it's going to cost you something, you know? And that doesn't mean like to be an artist means you have to like bang your head against the wall and like cut yourself and do all that shit. It's not about abuse, but it's about freely giving and allowing what's inside of you to come out, you know? And what's inside of us isn't all sunshine and roses, a lot of pain there. But to get there and to get it out, yeah, of course it costs you something, you know? Anytime you go to the theater and you see a truly great performance, I guarantee you it costs you something. And just quickly, like this anecdote that I love is Peter O'Toole's ex-wife wrote a book about him. And when Peter O'Toole was a young actor, there was like a wave of British actors, I think in the 50s. It was called like the New Wave. And it was Peter O'Toole and Albert Finney and what's his face, the other guy who liked to drink. It was a bunch of like young guys, and they had this image of being like rogues, and they would like be drinking all the time. And like, there's all these anecdotes about how like in between scenes, they go to the pub and have a drink and this and that. And they projected this image of like, we don't care, we just wing it. And what Peter O'Toole's wife wrote in the book was, you know, she said, Peter worked really hard to foster this devil-may-care image when he would go and do the show in London at night, you know, and yeah, he would go to the pub of this and that. But what nobody saw except me is that when the pub closed, whatever, at 11, he would come home and he would be in his room studying, working, deepening, all the way up until it was time to catch the train back into London, and working, deepening, so that he could show up in London and act like, oh, I just woke up, yeah, let's do a play. So it always costs somebody. I've seen John being in my plays, I've seen it, you know, I've seen it in John, I've seen it in everyone. And the object is to give. You know, it's not, you know, it's to give. It's something that you're giving that hopefully the audience would get something. So yeah, it costs something. If I had better habits, if I was more disciplined, if I liked writing more, if I was more natural, maybe it wouldn't hurt as much, because there's definitely ways you can be better and more structured and disciplined. I'm less, but yeah, it costs something. You shouldn't be afraid of that. You know, it's a muscle, you know. It's a muscle, and you gotta be willing to flex it. It hurts when you work out, and then you get like a little muscle. Now, I don't have none right now, but yeah.
That's amazing. John, you want to add anything before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I just want to say quickly that I think I mentioned it, how blessed I was with, you know, given the opportunity to direct such an amazing play. Like it's a great play. It really is. It truly is. And it definitely made my life easier. And I mentioned the actors, the cast as well. And I just wanted to name them because they were amazing, and they're not here. And this wouldn't have been nearly as successful of a production if it wasn't for their heart and soul and talents. And that's Liza Colon-Zayas, Pernell Walker, Cara Young, Liz Canavan, Patrice Johnson, Siobhan, Viviana Valeria, Wilhelmina Garcia, Angie Suglowski, Benja K. Thomas, Sean Carvajal, Elizabeth Rodriguez, David Anzuelo, Molly Collier, Neil Tyrone Pritchard, SD Cruz, Victor Almanzad, Greg Keller, Christina Poe, and Mr. Skittles himself.
The GOAT.
Yeah. And of course, ML, our lighting designer, Narelle Sissons, the set designer, Alicia Ba, YouTube, our sound designer. They were all amazing and down to play.
The best stage manager ever.
But yeah.
The best.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I just wanted to mention those names.
All right. Well, look, thank you so much, Claire. You want to come back on if you can? But thank you guys. That was incredible. And I know it was quick, but I felt like all of the stuff you got into and just who you are as artists, it's really, for me, as somebody who's run an ensemble for a long time, it's such a pleasure and honor to have had the opportunity to work with you both. And you're such incredible collaborators for all the reasons you were just talking about. So thank you for this time today. And yeah, Claire, what else we got?
Thank you for also naming all the extraordinary people who make this kind of work happen, because it takes a village. Art is hard, and everyone puts a lot of themselves to make beautiful things. So thank you for honoring all of those extraordinary artists.
Yeah, and thanks for saying that. I just feel now bad that I didn't like really go on the Atlantic side as well, but I mean, you guys have been amazing, but the crew and like everyone backstage was like just so great. I wish I would have
and Neil Pepe
as well.
I mean, really,
yeah.
Nobody else would have done it, especially like there was like no script, there was no one else, you know. Maybe Oscar would have did it, but like there would have, but only Neil like was like a carte blanche, you know, and so much faith and bon ami. And, you know, when you bring your friends into a different setting, you know, especially people of color, and they see and feel things that sometimes will escape me. And going back to Riverside, like I brought my friends into your theater, Neil, and they all felt at home. They all felt respected. They all felt loved, and they all felt like they could do the work. And so, you know, I've said it a few times, but like, it reflects so well on you, and I'm really grateful to you.
Thank you so much. It's very kind of you to say that. I mean, it's for all of us at the Atlantic, the staff, the ensemble, everybody who works. It's just an honor to have you guys and have everybody there. So you're awesome. Thank you for saying that.
Thank you to all those of you who joined and stayed and asked. We had so many questions we couldn't get to, but we'll collect them and send them along because there was a lot of powerful stuff in there. If you were moved, and if you'd like to see the continuation of this kind of free programming, and if you're in a position to do so, we hope you'll consider making a small gift to Atlantic. The end of our fiscal year is coming up on Monday. It means so much, and thank you. Be well, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, Stephen. Bye, John. Bye.
Bye.
Take it easy.